Y'all don't fight over the mic now.
Hey, Kim, I know this team really likes to get out and push the ball, tempo. Did you guys feel like the other night that y'all did that enough? And how do you, I guess, get the team to, I guess, sort of rediscover that, after a game maybe where they didn't quite do that?
Well, sometimes, yes, we do want to do that. I think any team talented wants to get up and get up down the floor. We didn't do that. Sometimes when you don't do it as much as you like, it's the other team's transition defense. I'm not sure that was the case with Southeastern. We just didn't. And we talked about it and showed the film, and chances were, particularly when you get a lot of long rebounds, that's the best time to run. So we didn't do it very good. But good teams aren't going to let you do that very much. They're going to make you execute in a half court.
You've talked a lot about Flage. Obviously, she's a freshman. I know she didn't have the performance that she had already been putting up here. How do you, I guess, guide her along through, obviously going through a game that she didn't have the success that she wanted, and then obviously coming out the next game and not letting what happened previously affect her?
When you recruit, you tell those guys your freshman year is going to be the most difficult year of your not just basketball career, but probably of your life, because for the first time you're on your own, you're waking yourself up, you're growing up a little bit, and basketball is going to be up and down. She has been up since she's been here, and she had that one game, the last game, where she got in foul trouble. And when you get in foul trouble, it takes you a little bit out of your rhythm, and you want to try harder. And the harder you try, sometimes the worse it gets. But that's not that's not unexpected for freshmen. So you teach her, you learn, you move on to the next game.
Kim, the other night you kind of alluded to open your eyes to what this Tulane team is. What are you expecting, and how good are they on your film, and what y'all are scouting so far?
They're a new team. I don't compare them to last year's team. They lost 3 starters. We lost, 6 players. So both are talented, their team and our team. They shoot a lot of threes. I think against UNO they may have made 10 threes the other night. They are well coached. They're going to be fired up because it's LSU on their home floor. I anticipate that it could possibly be their largest crowd, because Saturday their football team plays there for a championship. And that's why we moved the game to Sunday. So I would imagine a lot of people will stay and come to the women's basketball game on Sunday. Much respect to Lisa Stockton and her staff. I've known Alan on her staff for a long time, and he works really hard. And she's a coach that has to have all the records there, because she's been there a long time. And we know what we face. We know how good they are and the challenge they present, and we better be ready to play.
Then you have final exams. How much practice will they get in next week? And then another question, you're less than a month out now from the start of SEC play. How much future scouting do y'all do on your staff to what you're seeing in the league right now? Is there anything that's jumping out at you as far as what you're seeing with the SEC's doing in non-conference play?
Well, I'm not doing any scouting, and I can't imagine that any of the coaches are doing any scouting. They may watch some games and pay attention to some box scores. We're not good enough to look past our next opponent. We are a work in progress with 9 new players. We have to focus on us and the next opponent. We know what the SEC presents, the challenges that come with playing in the SEC. We have 5, I think, more non-conference games, and we've got to really give everything we have to Tulane. And then we do have a period of time where we're off for finals. I think that when you say off, I don't really anticipate it's off basketball-wise. The practice schedule may fluctuate and change based upon their finals, but I always took finals week as a time to really teach and keep putting in new things. So that's how we will approach next week. Certainly, finals are most important, but we're not going to just not practice during that time.
Well, even if you did have days off, the makeup of your roster, how many self-starters do you have? Do you have some kids on this roster that you actually have to kick out of the gym because they're maybe overtraining?
I can't answer if I have that or not, but you usually do. If they're doing it on their own after hours. They have access to this building and to a gym at all times with a finger scan. They don't report in or punch a clock where I can see what they're doing. But if they're doing it, that makes us better and certainly makes them better.
And kind of to that end about SEC play being around the corner through 8 games, what you maybe thought where this team would be versus where they are, how close or how would you assess that?
What you think you're going to have going into the season, obviously it's not always accurate. We're minus a couple players that we thought we would have. So that changes the makeup of the roster. It doesn't change the defensive end of the floor. It doesn't change the remaining players that are here. What we have to do is we just have to teach them as hard as we can, as fast as we can, what the expectations are on both ends of the floor. And again, you can't rush time. 8-0, I've said it numerous times. I'm not going to apologize for the schedule, but we know. We know what we face coming up. We know what we've played against. But your best is usually in practice against each other. And sometimes I can't let them go against each other because it gets way too physical. And that's a good thing.
When you feel great about your roster and where your program is, how crazy do you get with that non-conference schedule? Would you actually go out and schedule a home and home with a Stanford or a UConn? And do those guys do they even do that? I mean,
well, go look at my 21 years at Baylor. I'm following the same track I did there as here. I think what happens is when you win early like we did last year, people think you're supposed to just exceed what you did last year. I don't have any of those players except one anymore. You have to be very careful not to overschedule. You also have to be careful not to underschedule. Well, that's hard because you don't know the transfer portal impact. And that's what happened to us. So you play, you do the best you can, you make sure every day in practice is hard and detailed. Scheduling, you don't just pick up the phone and say, hey, let's do a home and home. It's, well, you come to me first. No, you come to me first. Well, my schedule's full. So that it's hard. It's very hard. And it's a lot harder than you think. Sometimes TV helps you because they'll try to put a package together and they'll get involved with the two universities. It's not like we're going to just sit here and not continue to grow this program. So it's harder than you think because it's you get egos involved with coaches on who thinks they should play where first. And quite honestly, sometimes I don't want to play a certain team because I'm not ready for that team. And maybe vice versa for some coaches. I don't know. But we're trying to do it the same way I did it at Baylor, and I thought it worked pretty good.
Kim, kind of following up on that, how much does, say, you guys playing at UConn or you guys playing, one of the other top 10 teams, especially in the non-conference, how much does it help the sport overall? Have you just kind of seen over the last handful of years just the interest increasing?
I think women's basketball interest has increased. Now, I read something this summer where it's other female sports are drawing higher interest on number of athletes playing those sports versus women's basketball. I don't know if y'all read that. I think I read that. Television coverage has changed our sport, and it's changed it for the better. And television wants the highest ratings they can get. And so go back to what I said earlier. That's why they get involved. Sometimes they want certain matchups. They want certain matchups so that they can get ratings. Coaches may not want to do it at certain times because they're not ready. I don't know. You have to look at it from a coach's perspective as well.
And I just wanted to ask about LaDeja. Do you anticipate her playing tomorrow?
I do. I do.
Any additional thoughts on LSU in the SEC championship game?
3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be on the bus going to New Orleans at 4, so I made sure to tell the assistants to make sure the TVs are working. We'll be watching and cheering, and wow. SEC West champions in his first year, and he's playing in the SEC championship game. Wow. Let's just sit back and go, what a year it has been. Underdog, right? Not supposed to win it. Playing in Georgia. Let's hope we compete and see what happens. Good?
Thanks, guys.
All right.